All right, this is Matt DeBerry's subject. Will the 2024 class from Kirby Smart be his best? Matt, I'm going to let you take over, other than to say Georgia is really off to a hot start in 2024 for sure. Number one class right now.
Yeah, we talked about it before. I've talked about it multiple times. This could be Georgia's best class of all time, one of the best recruiting classes ever. It all starts with the quarterbacks, Dean. I mean, you've got one of the very best in the country, Dylan Raiola, but you've got another really good one too in Ryan Puglisi. And as good as that 2023 class was last year's cycle, I still think could be Kirby Smart's best on defense. There was no quarterback. And if we're talking about the best class ever, you got to have a quarterback in there, and they've got one. But I mean, they're loading up on defense. They've got plenty of guys in the secondary. They've got five defensive linemen, and they're in the running for the number one defensive lineman, Williams and Werney. At linebacker, they could land Justin Williams, the number one linebacker in the country. I told you over the phone a few days ago, they got the number one corner, could get the number one linebacker, could get the number one defensive lineman, could get the number one safety in KJ Bolden. And they're adding depth and they're adding guys. You know, a lot of them have only been playing football for 3 or 4 years right now. The potential that some of these guys bring is crazy. But if we're talking best class that Kirby Smart has had, you got to start with that 2018 class, right? I think that's the standard. I've got the list right here, Dean.
Okay.
Jordan Davis, Jamari Sawyer, Zamir White, James Cook, Aziz Ojulari, Christopher Smith, Devontae Wyatt, Tyson Campbell, Quay Walker. Those were the guys. And then you have other guys who made impact like Adam Anderson, Cade Mays, who did play and start. He transferred out. Trey Hill was a big time lineman who started a lot of games. Channing Tindall, Kyrus Jackson, Jake Camarda, John Fitzpatrick. I mean, top to bottom, that 2018 class, most of them really made a big time impact. And we're not even talking about the guys that transferred away, like Justin Fields,
But those guys
Otis
count.
Reese.
Those guys
Yeah.
count in that class. I mean, I remember quite
Yep.
clearly you and I talking in 18, which is a lot longer ago than I would have remembered, I guess you could say. And we both felt like that was a great class, and it really was. Pick up Double Dogs today. You're going to get our 2023 preview included in it. A lot of reporting and writing from the Dog Post crew in there. We can't do it without everybody. But look, Matt, oops. The link's down below for that. These guys in this class, I mean, I'm going to go back to the screen so everybody can see what we're talking about. Dylan Raiola, Ellis Robinson the fourth, or Ellis Robinson, who's at IMG right now. Dylan Raiola, just those two guys are arguably number one and two prospects in the country. Why don't you go through? Oh, first of all, talk about those guys and then throw it back to me.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Raiola is the guy getting the Patrick Mahomes, comparisons. He can throw the ball, from different angles, off his feet, just elite arm strength. If you're putting him in a video game, it's 98, 99 type, right? And Ellis Robinson, his length, I think I've said it before, that guy could probably scratch his knee standing up. His arms are so long. He can run. He had 8 interceptions as a sophomore before going down to IMG. I mean, he is a top 5 prospect in the country for a reason. And if they get these guys, Williams and Warity, KJ Bolden, Justin Williams, and then maybe add a Nate Frazier at running back and another big time receiver. I still think they want to add a fourth. You're talking about a class that's going to be close to 30, which is going to matter too. And a lot of just extremely talented guys. And a lot of these guys I think are going to end up playing in the league one day. But then let's not forget about that 2019 class, Dean. I don't think it was as deep and talented as 2018, but if you want to talk about the first 6 guys,
Okay.
Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, N'Kobe Dean, George Pickens, Lewis Seen, and hey, Stetson Bennett was on scholarship in that 2019 class too. So
That's
if you add
true.
him, I mean, Kenny McIntosh, Warren McClendon, that was a very, very good class. And you
Zion
still have
Logue,
guys on the roster like Xavier Truss, Zion Logue, Don Blaylock was in that class, and who knows how good he would have been if it weren't for the injuries. But
Tramel
um,
Walthour, a
Jamal
multi-year
Walthour,
starter. Um,
yeah,
keep rolling. I mean, like I guess what I'm trying to I wanted to throw to this though. You got a chance not that long ago to talk to Dylan Raiola in Buford. Um, why don't we talk about that just for a second? Why did he come to Buford? What's the point here? I mean, this is behind the scenes. It's a story that is over on Dog Post. If you do not have a subscription to Dog Post, it's this is the time of year to get it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the near future. But why, this Dylan Raiola story, Buford, for people who are not familiar with Buford, the Buford Wolves, this is a program and a school a school district that really cares about athletics. They've cared about it for a long, long time. But you got a chance to talk to Raiola. Did he know that it would be this hot for the Dogs and 14 guys committing? Could be more than that soon. Why did he pick the Dogs? What about Bobo? Tell me what you thought and your impressions about all of that, Matt.
Well, he's a really mature kid off the field, says all the right things,
Uh-oh, lost your
gets it.
audio. There you go. Keep going,
Okay.
Matt.
He gets it on and off the field. And you asked why he went to Buford. He was transferring from schools in Arizona, so he was going to have to miss like 3 or 4 games if he stayed there. And he said, you know what? I'm only going to be in high school for 1 semester before he's enrolls early at Georgia. Why don't I just go play closer to Athens at a place like Buford? He's got his younger brother there, so he can be at Buford for the next several years. It's a power program, 45 minutes away. He told me he's planning on being at just about every home game that he can, help recruit still. So I know the Georgia staff is happy that he's 45 minutes down the road instead of 4.5 hours plane ride away. So
Yeah.
it makes sense why he made the decision. And he's got a lot of talent around him. I mean, he's got weapons. He's got an offensive line that's going to protect him. He's at a place that's going to work. I mean, they kept practicing over and over. I thought they were going to end like an hour before they actually did. They were out there working. Those wolves, excuse me, out of Buford. They're hungry, and they did not end the season well as they wanted to last year. They're ready for a title this year, and he saw that, and he could be, the guy who leads them back to a championship.
Hey, make sure you're taking advantage of our offer with Doordash. We can't do these sorts of videos without them. The code is DawgPostSummer. Even if you've taken advantage of this, Doordash has been great, as Matt knows. I'm sure he takes advantage of it consistently. Yeah. There's any number of restaurants that you can get local in Athens coming, Atlanta, Watkinsville, Clarkston, wherever. Make sure you're checking our code out is DawgPostSummer. The first order is 50% off the $20 value. But even if a lot of people have already taken advantage of that, but this is my reminder, it's the summer, you don't really want to cook, it can get hot outside. Take advantage of DoorDash today. Matt, what did you make of, what do you make of, where Georgia's going? You mentioned the word 30. I want to make sure we have everything in perspective here. It's my understanding that the rule now in the NCAA, the bylaw now in the NCAA, is that schools are no longer restricted to the 25, which obviously is the case at Georgia because they've got
26 right now.
26 right now, exactly. Where are we going here? Where are we going here if you're Georgia?
I mean, it's going to be close to that 30 mark. There's still multiple targets out there. I could see it maybe a decommitment or two, but when I go down the list, these guys committed to Georgia for a reason. They want to be in this class, and 6 offensive linemen right now. I think they all continue to stick. They brought in 2 more tight ends when at first I thought they would just take 1. Looking to add a 3rd running back. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a number that's capping them. And again, KJ Bolden's still out there. Cameron Michael, a defensive back out of Statesboro that they really like. Justin Williams could replace DeMarcus Riddick as that number 2 inside linebacker. They still don't really have an outside linebacker edge rusher. There's Jordan Ross out of Birmingham, who's a borderline 5-star. They're in the mix for, and again, Williams and Werney, a 5-star defensive lineman that they're not going to say no to if he wants to jump on board. And they only have 3 wide receivers. I think ideally they'd like to add another there. So you look at all the guys still out there and say, wow, they're still at 26, and there's room for a few more. So it seems like this is going to be the biggest class that they brought in for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think that. I think what we're going to see here over time is that's going to be the new. There's going to be a changing. Recruiting's going to change. We're going to see what Greg Sankey's pull is in terms of changing the calendar again for college football recruiting. I could see a scenario where signing day is not in December anymore. It could flex back to February. I think maybe perhaps, and this is me saying this is not anybody telling me this. I think it's totally possible that they could flex and do early. Here's some breaking news here about the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference getting extended. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I think that listen, I was just talking about Greg Sankey. He's a very powerful person in the NCAA. I think at the grand scheme of things, if Greg could push things towards a more balanced recruiting period, the coaches would love that. Your final thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, the recruiting train's not going to stop anytime soon. 25 is absolutely loaded, and be able to push for the number one class there. But 2024, I think will go down as one of the greatest classes that we've seen from any team in the industry.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.